My name is Paul Giezekamp. I'm from Property Secrets. Thank you very much for coming today. What I'm going to be talking about today is developers versus investors. Who makes the most money? Who makes it the easy transaction, the easy journey, the hard journey? And I'll be going through personal experiences. I'm up to 24 properties now, $11 million worth of assets, and about $4 million worth of debt. I've just purchased a property at Rod Point for 1.4, and I've moved from Leichhardt at 1.3, but at Leichhardt I've got planes, Rod Point I don't, waterfront, park in front, can't wait. So the talk today is about investors versus developers. And basically what I'm going to be passing on is I see about 16 people per day, 6 days a week, and it doesn't matter whether they're baby boomers, Gen Y, Gen X, they're all looking to be financially free. So we've got Jamal here that came to me about 2 years ago with one property. He's now sitting on 4 properties. The 4 properties that he have are dual incomes. I'll be speaking about dual incomes later on why I prefer to have dual income properties versus single income properties. And that in itself says that we're actually starting to look at a different product that we're buying initially. So if the end goal is to be financially free, we've got to come back to the start and say, well, we better make sure this purchase is right here that's going to make our journey easy to get over this side here. So Jamal now is up to the 4 properties, 8 rental incomes, so that's 2 rental incomes per property. Aaliyah's up to 6 properties, Generation X. Cherie's up to 7. Alan's up to 6, he's only just started, 12 rental incomes. These are all real people. You can see their videos on our Facebook page. Colin's up to 8, 16 rental incomes. And he's actually very close to retiring. He doesn't really like his job. And there's a lot of people that sort of share his point of view. And he's all set, ready to go. Very big advocate of Property Secrets, because when he came, he had a house that had a whole bunch of equity, but he didn't know what to invest in and what vehicle. So we definitely helped him. So, in regards to the journey, I'm going to give you a real life example of myself when I started off. I would come to these property expos and I would come here and be bombarded and crash tackled and take this brochure and take this and sign that and everything else. And I would normally come in here wanting to be educated, and I would leave more confused than when I first started. So we're going to break this down for you today. I started off buying negatively geared property. I started off buying not caring about what product I was going to buy. In the early days, I'd go out and buy a unit, townhouse, villa, apartment, off the plan, house and land package, and not think anything of it, and wait for capital growth. But as the journey went on, I found that at one stage I was negatively geared with 12 properties, $200,000 a year. And the rates were sort of sitting at 7, 8, 9% over that period. And I'll be honest, I had sleepless nights. Now, I don't like negative geared property. There's some people that like it still. Accountants love it. But the accountants are not going to make your loan repayments. They're not there when you go, okay, well, I've just lost my job. This portfolio that you've told me to get into is not self-sustaining, and now I'm going to go bankrupt. So being a property coach, I get to see the great stories. Oh, Paul, I did this, I did that. But I also get to see the horror stories in regards to property that you don't see in the magazines, because it's always positive, positive, positive. And it's this stuff here where I'm trying to educate everyone. You don't have to go down that track, because even though I can try and distance myself from my job, very hard to see a couple breaking up or divorcing because the whole portfolio was wrong. Interest rates have gone up, someone's lost their job, and they haven't actually prepared themselves for good times or for bad times. We offer free coaching, so if anyone is stuck in that situation, come and see us. If anyone's not stuck in that situation, come and see us. And even if you're, excuse me, even if you're a successful property investor, excuse me, then you should still come and see us anyway, because we're offering a different model than what most people have. Does anyone know about cycle investing? So cycle investing is basically, if you buy at the bottom of the cycle, then you will get an increase. If you buy at the top of the cycle, then you're also going to have a downturn. So the one thing that I noticed when I was buying properties dirt cheap in the Western Corridor, and that's not just where I buy, but I like to buy there because it's got good zoning, I was buying for $80,000, $90,000. And basically what was happening was, it didn't matter who I spoke to, it didn't matter what person I spoke to, accountant or my mum or my dad, they would always say, why are you buying those cheap properties for? How come you're actually going out and buying those cheap properties for? But no one actually said anything when those properties went from 80 grand in 98 to 350,000 in 2002. So I had 2.5 million in an offset account at the age of 32. At the age of 32. Now I had 4 properties in the Inner West, 3 in Leichhardt, 1 in Annandale. And those properties went up 30%. And everyone patted me on the back and said, Paul, you're the greatest investor. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold, guys. Paul, you're the greatest investor going round. These properties that you've got in Leichhardt have gone from 650,000 and they've actually gone up to $1 million. But the problem with those properties was there was holding costs per property over those 4 years of 40 to 50 grand holding costs because they were negatively geared. That's the first problem. Second problem was they weren't subdividable. I couldn't knock over that house, build 3 in Leichhardt, sell 2 and own 1 with no debt. And the third problem was I was paying land tax because the land was too valuable. So in regards to cycle investing, when I was buying for 80 grand, no one else wanted to buy because there was no growth in Sydney back in those days. And we're going through the same process now. 2002 was the last boom. It started to taper off in 2003 and 2004. So if you want to be really critical in regards to Sydney, we have not seen a boom since 2004. That's 8 years. If you go back in time and have a look on the capital growth history in regards to Sydney, you can go back 150 years. It's normally boom, bust, boom, bust, boom, bust, boom, bust. So if it starts here, boom, bust, flat, 7 to 10 years. Boom, bust, flat, 7 to 10 years, boom, bust. So if we already know what's going to happen, now is the best time to buy. So we always want to buy at the bottom of the cycle, not in the middle, not at the top, because if we're buying at the bottom of the cycle and it's been flat for 8 years, it's a pretty good guess that Sydney's going to move in the next 1 to 3. So your lag time for capital growth is going to be quite short. So top of the cycle in regards to where I believe is bad buying at the moment, this is my personal opinion, Adelaide, Darwin, Canberra and Hobart. Excellent buying at the moment, Sydney and Perth is stage 1. Stage 2 would be Brisbane and Melbourne. And the reason why I'm saying they're stage 2 is because they've had the boom, they've had the correction, but they haven't had the 7, 8, 9, 10 years like Sydney and Perth have had. They've had 2 or 3 years. So your lag time for Brisbane and Melbourne to get some capital growth is going to be 3, 4 years. It makes sense.